Welcome to day 2 of the summer sprint, where we're going to be going ahead and planning out the full business so that we can go ahead and get started, get things moving fast. We don't want to waste any time being in our heads, and we want to start putting things out on paper and starting to get things moving, because the biggest thing that we know is that we'll spend days, weeks, and even months trying to just think and plan and study and everything, that we won't actually go out there and do stuff. So today is our one day of planning, and then we're going ahead and actually going ahead and doing work. So a couple things, we're going to dive straight into here and get things started. So we know that we want to target relatively local businesses that sell some sort of high ticket service. Now the first question is, should we niche down or not? And for me right now, the question is not really, because we don't really know who we're going to talk to, and we don't want to put ourselves into a box yet. Now, if we want to sell something that's relatively high ticket, we do know that there is some people that we actually don't want to work with. So instead of niching down, it might be like, who do we not want to work with? So for example, I don't want to work with any sort of restaurants, because one sale might be worth $50, $100, even low as like $20 or something. And if I'm going to charge them $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, probably not going to be a good idea, because they need so many clients to make that money back. But if we were selling something to someone that the average order value of their service is $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, sometimes even as high as $10,000, $20,000, it's a lot more likely that they'd be willing to spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on our service to help them get a client, because one client can pay the whole entire thing. So for us, we know that we want to do something that's higher ticket. Now, with that in mind, there's a couple things that we can obviously look into. Now, for me personally, I want to obviously work with companies that I enjoy and stuff like that, but also I know that there's an element of we need to make money now. So for me, I'm thinking of what is the easiest things to contact, and also something that I enjoy. And a couple things that we kind of came to mind is, obviously we can do higher ticket stuff like home services. So that could be for example, your people that are doing brand new roofs, people that are doing solar, roofs and solar, for example. Those are $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 each. Kitchen remodel, bathroom remodel, stuff like that, those are really expensive, things like that. So people that go to your home and do some sort of service. Another thing that we're also looking at is, this is people that come to you. The other one is people that you go to. And for me, that looks like, for example, in the travel niche. So this could be tour excursions, hotels, looking at luxury boutique resorts. We might be looking at things that vacation rentals and stuff like that. So somewhere that you're going to, and usually those are in the thousands of dollars. Now, with that in place, the one thing that is in common is that these two people, no matter which one we're looking at, relatively is going to sell something that is usually in the thousands of dollars. So, and we, I don't want to niche down into one specific thing. I don't want to only work with roofers, or only work with solar, or only work with anything there. And I also don't want to only work with someone in a specific person in the travel industry, because we don't know. Now, with this being said, I know that they need to obviously get one thing. So these two people, what are they looking for? Well, if you're in the home services niche, the first thing that you're ultimately looking for is that you're probably looking to get appointments. So if you're looking to get appointments, we need to do something to book people on the calendar. And if you're in the travel industry, you're looking for reservations. So if you're in the travel industry and you're looking to get reservations, that's you want people to book a stay at your hotel, or you want people to reserve a spot on your tour or something like that. So for me, if I look at these two things and what is the common middle ground, ultimately what we're looking for is a booking. whether that is on the calendar for an appointment or on the calendar for a tour or a stay or whatever it is. Now, with that in place, like these are still on the local side of things because we want someone that's easy to contact. Now, I don't mean local as in where I specifically am, but I mean local as in wherever they're at. So these people are, local businesses one way or another, and they're looking to get bookings, and they need a process in place where they can consistently get bookings for their local business. So they essentially have to understand how that works and have that process dialed in for themselves. So what I think about when I was thinking about how am I gonna name this, I'm like, well, if I need to get local businesses and eventually I want to get to a place where I or them as the client, for example, has a system that they can consistently use to get local businesses, I kind of said, okay, let's go ahead and name it something with local businesses, local bookings as the domain name, and be like, oh, if you want to learn more, go to whatever.com. And so the domain name that I kind of thought about is Master Local Bookings. And that's basically going to be my business name, even though my actual business name is not this. That's going to be the website that I send people to. It's masterlocalbookings.com. And so I got that domain, and we'll eventually work on building out a funnel or a website or something like that, because eventually we can actually go through and run paid ads or something, because there's 3 ways for us to get traffic. I call it the triple B method. And that's, you can build, you can borrow, or you can buy. So if you build, that's all organic / you put in the work. So that's you going out there and doing stuff. Borrowing could be referrals, collabs, stuff like that. And buying obviously is paid ads. So with that in place, obviously I know that right now we're going to be mainly doing for us building organically, making phone calls, emails, stuff like that. We don't really have anyone that's going to refer us anyone, so we're not going to touch that yet. And then at some point we could do paid ads or something to some sort of funnel that has these kind of people booking calls on our calendar. So as of right now though, we're going to go with building organically. So now we have a general idea of the type of people that we're working with, the goal that they have, and the general name of what we're kind of going to call our brand and how we're going to get people in the front end. The next thing that we kind of have to work into is what exactly are we offering? Now, with that in place, there's 2 paths that we can go to. So the 2 paths, we have either services, which is usually done for you / done with you, which is for example, I'm going to do some stuff for you, but at the same time we might have to go back and forth and brainstorm, plan, strategize, stuff like that. So that's where the done with you part comes in. And then on the other side we have the more consulting side of things, where we kind of just talk and you see stuff, and that's more a do it yourself / done with you side of things. So the done with you / do it yourself. So this obviously has done for you first, and this has done with you first. So here it's we're gonna physically do something. We are gonna do something and we're gonna hand it off to you at the end of this, versus this is we're gonna talk to you, and at the end of this you have to go and do that thing. So that's the 2 paths that we have for any service. Obviously this is more money and this is less money, so obviously that's kind of how it works. But when it comes to kind of service delivery and stuff, we also look at things 2 different kind of ways here. Let me go ahead and do this here. So we have, for example, a couple things. So we have the upfront and then we have the recurring. So basically for us, there's a couple different angles that we can do. You can have upfront service and back-end recurring service. And basically what this means is upfront, like for example, we're going to set something up in our client's business, and upfront it's a service. Like we're going to physically do the thing. And then recurring on the back end with the maintenance, the management, stuff like that. Recurring month to month, it's also going to be a service where we're going to do everything for them. They don't do anything. That's essentially the most expensive. Next we have, on the complete opposite side, we have consulting. This is obviously the least expensive, and in theory you can do a lot of them, but in order to really go full consulting, you really have to master what you're doing as that service, or else how are you going to teach someone else how to do it? So this needs a lot of experience, and it's not really the great thing for beginners. And then the last one that we really look at is service consulting, and that's kind of like the sweet spot for a lot of people, where it's like on the front end I'm gonna set something up for you as a service, and on the back end management of it, I'll consult you so that way you know how the business works and you can manage it. I didn't just give you a system that only works when I'm there. Now at the beginning, you normally start with this one here, because you're gonna do everything for them / with them, because you're also learning how to like manage and master this thing. But eventually, for me, I would want to get into the sweet spot so that you can charge basically a high price up front so you can collect a big dollar value, and then you can get every month a set amount of money. So for example, you might, depending on what your service is, you might charge, for example, $3,000 to set something up, and then $497 per month over here to be part of some like consulting thing. Over here on this side, you might charge, for example, the same $3,000 up front, but then on the monthly basis, since it's obviously still a service, you might have that drop to $2,000 per month. So there's different things there obviously that come into place. So that's kind of the idea there. Now finally, what exactly are we looking to offer? And that's one of the things that's actually very interesting, because we got to kind of map this out on here. So the offerings, what I look at when this is basically, how does the business currently run? Because obviously the business is currently doing something, and we need to work on improving that in order to help them grow. So first things first is they already have an existing system that they're taking people through, from when someone does not know who they are to first finding them, and then ultimately to making whatever that booking is. So with that, there's obviously the conversion process throughout that. So number one is that we need to help them convert more of their existing traffic. So we want to help them by putting a system into their business that helps them convert more of their existing traffic. Now, what could this be? This could be, for example, a new website that converts better. This could be updating their Google business profile so that it actually gets people to their website. And it could be obviously a variety of different things, but anything that we can do to fix their existing systems that they already have, the existing things that they're already doing, better CTAs in like content or anything like that, any of these kind of things. How do we convert more of their existing traffic? the second thing is, how do we get new traffic? So once we've gone ahead and we've fixed their, system here to convert more of their existing traffic, now we have a system that actually works. So how do we get them to get new people into that system that works? Well, that's where it comes into, for example, could be like paid ads and stuff like that, so that we can go ahead and get new traffic into the system that we just built. And then the last piece, when they're really looking to scale, it's going to be more on like saving time and scaling with automation. So that could be stuff like, AI chat, AI voice, automations. This could also be stuff like, helping them manage things better. So we could kind of go into like CRM, stuff like that. And there's a lot of different things that we can go into. So essentially, with that being said, we have this. When we go into that, like obviously there's a upfront service and then there's a back-end service. So with that, we kind of have like 3 tiers. So the 3 tiers are going to be something like tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So it's going to be like 1, 2, 3. This is just going to be basically level 1. This is level 1, level 2, and this is level 1, level 2, level 3. So like obviously this one here just gets this. This one here gets this and this. And this one here gets all of this. So that's kind of the idea there that we have in mind. So obviously there's going to be like a setup kind of phase, and then there's going to be more of a maintenance kind of phase. And that's where it's like the setup, for example, is going to be the done for you / done with you. And then in the maintenance phase, they have the option to choose, for example, if they want it as a service or consulting, where the consulting, for example, might just be a weekly call that we get on and we look at your numbers and we talk about it and we tell you what to do, versus a service, just like we might do that, but we also do the thing that we tell you to do for you. So for example, for level 1, obviously depending on what it is, if it's like a new website, updating Google Business Profile and just talking to them about better call to actions, this might be something like, $3,000. Now, if we also have to create a new paid ad system and stuff like that and launch their initial ads, we're going into this next one, we might go more like $5,000. And then if we're going to go through and implement AI chat, AI voice, automation, CRM, and all that kind of stuff, this might be more like probably like $10,000 to $12,000, sometimes $9,000, depending on what's needed. This is a little bit more custom probably, but eventually it'll get productized. But this will probably be something more like, let's just say $10,000. And then on the back end with the service, if we're going to be managing the stuff that we built inside of level 1 or level 1 and 2 or level 1, 2, and 3, it's like, what would we charge for that per month? Because this is obviously an upfront fee, and this here is upfront fee, and then these here are going to be more like monthly fees. For a service here where we just manage their Google Business Profile, their website, and stuff like that, it might not charge too much money. It might be like, for example, let's just say, $3.99 per month or something like that. It probably could be even cheaper. On the consulting side of things, though, let's say that we just go into like a weekly call with them. Again, keep in mind that there's group options, and then there's also like one-on-one options. At the beginning, you probably don't have a group, so you're probably stuck with one-on-one. So you want to do a little bit more expensive. So I'd say maybe like $199 per month. That jump you on 4 or 5 calls a month at like $40 to $50 each. I personally wouldn't probably do this in the beginning because I'd rather just get the higher amount, but things like that. On the higher ticket side, when we go to this next one where it comes to like paid ads, now here we're obviously managing ad campaigns and stuff like that for someone. So, and everything that's up here, whatever we offer them. So this one's a little more money. I'd probably go with like $1,200. Now for consulting on this side, I'd probably go with something like $499 per month. And now if we're doing their AI chat, AI voice, automation, CRM, and all that kind of stuff, plus obviously their paid ads and everything, I'd probably put this something more like $1,800 per month. Or if it's on the consulting side of things, probably something like $799 per month or something like that. Obviously this can change, and this is just me brainstorming for the first time, but we can definitely take it to so much more levels. We can customize it for every single person. We can take it from there and everything like that. But this is kind of like where we're starting out at, and our kind of plan on how we're gonna get things moving to get started. So obviously if you have any kind of questions or feedback or thoughts on this, like, feel free to let me know in the comments. But this is the summer sprint where every single day we're going to be going through and just building a business right here, step by step. Now that we have all this kind of mapped out for what we're getting things started with, kind of like map this out today, knowing that we're going to be working with like higher ticket local businesses that sell some sort of service or anything that are looking to book appointments. That's why we kind of named it Master Local Bookings. We know how we're going to get our traffic, which right now it's going to be like organically going out there and probably calling people. We know the different service paths that we can offer. We know kind of an idea of what we're going to offer based on their needs, and we have a general idea of some tiers. Obviously that's going to be customized once we actually start doing stuff. The next thing that we're going to be going to is actually going through and start finding these kind of leads, finding these kind of prospects, and starting to make phone calls in order to try to validate this to book appointments. So if you're looking to continue to watch the journey, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you tomorrow.